Welcome to the Christmas edition of 90 Seconds Plus and the final episode for 2023. So we're going to kick off with a bit of a wrap up of what's happened across the year, or some highlights. Take it away, Nobby.
Yep. Well, it's been a good year, but let me acknowledge your website.
Yep.
You get a bit of flack sometimes, but look, you're by far the best one in town. I don't care what anybody else says. You're really accurate about the information you get, and if anybody wants to talk the truth, you guys are the absolute truth.
Thank you.
You're on the ball. Get things done really quick. So that's an acknowledgement for you, I guess.
Yeah. And
we wouldn't be doing this today unless you and I had a sort of relationship over that. And who cares about the rest?
Yeah, exactly. As I said, our web just keeps growing and growing, which is quite exciting, really. And we're very local, but look at some of the stats. What's On Invers has audience across New Zealand and then across Australia. So in the mornings it starts, particularly the funeral notice starts people for the day, and then they carry on reading other articles and stories. And the other great thing is when we go live, say from the Don Street Market, the food market, and other events like the Santa Parade, again it showcases our city, and it's that's the bit I like to get Great South involved, so they understand it better, as well as the City Council, comms and staff there. That it's not just Invercargill, it's actually Southland, but also New Zealand wide, and then further afield. As the day goes by, we see people coming online from Australia. It goes across Perth, Surfers,
You're not self-promoting, are you?
Oh yeah, look, how I get a free plug.
That's my job. But contrary to what people think, I do have some friends.
Yeah.
A very few number of them, but they live right throughout New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I've got family, both here and in Australia, and friends in Australia, and they regularly watch. They're people who have lived here or know that I'm here and just want to catch up. They're not interested in you and I. Yeah. They're just interested in the news content and what's actually going on locally. So, it's a real credit to you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, kick things off. So, what's just a couple of highlights for the year?
Oh, well, where do you start? ICL, the mall's open.
Yes.
Huge investment in Don and S Street as well. Got some progress in the last couple of days over Walking Place with Jeff Thompson. So that's
good.
Something to look forward to in the next 12, 18 months.
Yep.
His hotel will probably be open in about April 2025.
Yep.
We hope to have everything done by then. A bit of a push for us, but some real good progress going on there.
Yep.
And look, the museum's still on track and on budget. And a big project like that, you might get a couple of months to sort of push out at the end, but we won't tell the staff that because don't want any slippage in that. But I expect it to be built by the end of 2025.
Yeah.
Another 5 or 6 months to get the sort of stuff going inside, which is the experience, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting.
Yeah.
And we've also finished off Tisbury, so we've done a huge amount of work in the last year. And hope people appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good to have a new chief executive in that period as well.
Yes.
A lot of tension around that, having an established chief executive replaced by somebody internally. Two benefits for that. Michael's a really neat guy. And we've got really good relationships around town because of his way of doing business.
Yeah.
But it's also given a really strong message to people in the community and the people that work for us. If you do well, you can climb right to the very top. A lot of organisations recruit their top jobs externally, and that's a place of default now for us. We don't do that. Yeah. We promote internally if we can. So it gives people a desire to come and stay and work at council, which is not the easiest place to be at times.
Yeah. And even better if they're already internally living here, it's a lot better because they know the city and they've got relationships in the city, around the city already, which makes things a lot easier. I think sometimes out of towners is good, but also it is good if we can do that, as you said, internally. Because again, they're living here already, so they understand how we work down here. Because us Southlanders, we sort of like to get on and make shit happen, as I've always said. And I don't think sometimes the other towners always understand how we go about things down here.
So I've found that in the last 12 months, or even before the election, that your website really carries the absolute truth. Not just the truth.
Yes.
So that's another level up. But I have to clarify from time to time when you get things wrong. And you said we Southerners. Well, I'm not a Southerner. You know that. I've only been here 49 years. So I'm still an outsider.
Well, that used to be a joke when I lived in Queenstown. Was it that you'd ask someone how long they've been there, and I think if it was over 10 years, then you're a local.
No, don't want to be a local. No, just want to be something that gets stuff done.
And what's on Invers' favourite event that we're associated with and we have been for years is the Santa Parade. It's a fun event. It brings the whole community together, and I'd have to say I've got to say my little bit that I was so proud this year. On one hand, I was streaming on our Instagram page, and the other one with the gimbal, I was streaming live on Facebook. And I think I did quite good to keep 2 different videos so people got a different look of different things. And of course, with the new route this year, or the map, or the route around the city, it's changed, which I think was good. It tightened things up, because I mean, over the years, I think when they've gone down Kelvin, it's sort of got a bit light and a bit stretched out. So I think it was great that we could go do the loop down down D and then back around and back down Gala. So it was really good.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you made that reflection and didn't make any reflection of me falling off my bike. I'm going to give it out. But look, we got away from some of this PC stuff. I did actually have an ability to throw some lollies out to kids. And we had just about 20 kilos of it, but I ran short. But it was great to see when I looked out and saw those kids, and I looked at the parents that were sitting behind. The multicultural nature of our society now is huge. Probably every second or third face that I saw was not what you'd call your traditional European New Zealander, and that was great. It really was.
But it's also great.
And you saw the input on some of the floats. You know, some of these multicultural, the South American dancers, the Filipinos, they get right into it.
Oh, they do.
We have a few cultures not participating, which is a bit of a shame.
I know, and I have asked Evelyn Cook about that.
It's a bit sad that they don't. And on one breath, iwi is very, very promotional of them having a separate identity, and yet they don't engage in it. And yet, when it's Matariki thing, everybody gets involved.
Yes.
So, a little bit sad in some ways. I would like all the cultures to embrace.
Oh, great. That's right.
But for me, the highlight I think was the last election. We went away from the woke left-wing government, and that was the bane of my life. Around Three Waters, around resource management, and everything else. And this government, if it keeps to its course, and I think the minor parties are the key to that. If they can keep national to what they've committed to, and we go back to being a one culture.
Like Winston Peters has always said, to be fair, he's always been consistent.
So people ask me,
one people.
I've never agreed with the term that says Maori and non-Maori. I come from the other end and say there are New Zealanders, and then there are New Zealanders that can trace a Maori relative, which will link them eventually back to the treaty. And I understand that. I don't mind that. I don't mind them celebrating that any more than we have some New Zealanders that come from India. They've got links back to India, and they celebrate that. So we should celebrate all that diversity, but we shouldn't carve the divide. And I'm really glad of the outcome of the last election. I think we've got a really good mix now going forward. Penny's just gone through the roof as far as her status is concerned.
Oh, it's great. It's great to have a minister.
Well, the most important thing was 2 important things with Penny's new roles. One is that she's tertiary education minister, so SIT will be sorted, because that was one of the downsides. The last 2 terms that institution just got run down. So we'll go back to build that, and I'll have a role to play in that as well, hopefully. But the other thing is she's also Minister for the Environment, and that's really important, because for me, I'm not too much into climate change. I think what will be. What we do here won't influence the big picture in the world. But one of the things I am passionate about is recycling. That we take plastics out of our environment, and we have some huge potential down here with Recycle South and the plant they've got at Makarua. And so Penny will be a good lobbyist for us in that respect.
So
one last question, I suppose, the audience wants to know is, it's been just over a year now that Mrs. Mayor's had to share you with the public. So I guess her stress release is her purchasing earrings and her puzzles.
The was jig, so it's quite quirky. Was jig means jigsaw backwards. And so you look at the picture, and you'll have some shots of that. And what you see is not what you're trying to build in front of, it's what the person in the jigsaw actually sees, reverse back out. But the earrings haven't stopped, I have to tell you. And nor have the handbags. I've sent you a little wee photograph of that. You know, it's getting less handbags now, but they're way more expensive. And she sat last night at a function we had for Christmas for the executive team that we've got. And she sat next to Rhea Bond, unfortunately. Rhia's legendary with her number of shoes. At one stage, up around 300, I heard.
Oh, geez.
And handbags and everything to go with it. And so it was like 2 people on drugs sitting together and sharing the world. So it was
their addictions.
It was.
Shoes and handbags.
It was.
I think it sounds like they're trying to compete to be our very own Armada.
Well, Karen's got a long way to go on that school.
Oh, okay.
She really does have. Rhea's got the inside running on that. But no, it's been a good year. And the other thing that's been good for us, I think, for a city, and this is not me getting it full of myself, but it is our council operates way better than it has done in previous terms.
Yes.
And that's not because Tim's gone either. It's because there are people around the table that really want to see stuff done for the city.
Yes,
got a real passion for it.
Oh, totally. That's the other thing we need to cover just quickly. It would be touch base on would be that the councillors. I mean, it's great to see particularly Grant Dermody stand out. He's been a standout, and it's great him and then even Ian Rangi. Not scared to ask some questions. You know, the staff question staff about some of the stuff, because in the past, over the years, a lot of the time the bureaucrats will just put stuff in front of the council and they just rubber stamp it without question. So it's good to see them actually challenging them.
I think the future for our city is to do what we did, and you helped us do that last time, which was to put together a ticket behind a strong candidate. Now, I'm not going to stand again, and people know that.
Yes.
But putting together people of like minds doesn't mean that they're the same, but they come with the right sort of skill sets that you want. If you look around our table, like you say, we've got banking expertise with Grant. You've got good connections into South City and into Bluff. Tom's got experience of about 30 or 40 years as directors of massive companies all over the world.
Trish Boyle with her governance.
Trish has been on Community Trust of Southland and knows all about community and how to engage, and the list goes on.
Well, there's Bazza as well. You got Bear. You know, you've got that tradie. So again, it's sort of that working man.
We've got all the bases covered. Really, look. You know, if I'm honest and I look back, and I look at Leslie, for argument's sake, I think she was a bit of a roadblock in previous councils. I personally thought she's outstanding this time, and I've told her that. I think she's got so much energy now, and she's so connected in the community. She does more work in the community, I think, than most of us put together. She's outstanding.
And you've got to say, even Darren's got more of a spring in his step this term as well, which I think is good to see. Which has been good.
I hope that's not because he says he wants to retire. This is his last time. I think he's still an asset, and he's young enough still to pursue. And look, if he never makes mayor or whatever, it doesn't matter. He's got so much to contribute, and he's got so much institutional knowledge. You need to have that. If you don't have that on council, then the staff give it to you, and they don't necessarily have the experience either. Darren's been around for a very, very long time, and it's not a bad thing.
No, that's actually good, and plus he knows how to run a meeting. But I've got to give credit, Grant and even Tom certainly run a meeting, but Darren certainly has got the pizzazz.
He does. He has real good skills in that area. He really does. So our council's working well now, I think. When I look at some of the other councils around, and I'm not just picking on Gore, because that would be a cheap shot. But look, if you look at some of the ones up north that you see that have had problems, Tauranga, Auckland, Wellington, I mean, the list goes on. And they struggle, and we're doing really well. We had our bad patch, but we learned from that, and things are great now, I reckon.
Speaking of that, I've always wanted to do a joke that when Mayor Clark, when you started, you cancelled the council drama series, and Gore currently been trialling a pilot series this year, and I think they're going to renew it and continue next year with their dramas. So it's been quite good that Invercargill's handed that trophy of trophy of drama over to Gore, and they've certainly embraced it.
The other thing that most ratepayers are really keen on is the issue of rate increases. And I've always been keen on low rates. I get a lot of flack for that from internally, that people say we need more money. You know, 2 or 3% difference is only, sort of $10 or $20 or $30 a year, but it all adds up. And this coming year, will probably be 9%, which is more than we would like to be. And 3 or 4 years from now, we'll start to go back down towards 5 and 4. I think we're the lowest in the country, or maybe second to lowest of 67 councils. Percentage-wise, going up. Some of them are going up in the high teens. Some are even up around 25%. So imagine what your rates are in Auckland if they're going up 25% in 1 year.
Look at Wellington.
And it sits there and it just compounds. That won't be a one-off, that 25%. It'll just get eye-watering.
Because I think some of the bureaucrats, and not necessarily pointing a finger at our council, but a lot of these bureaucrats around different councils, they don't understand that there's a lot of people on fixed income. And when you're on fixed income, what do? You've got to cut food, or you've got to cut something else to pay for the rates, even if it's a few dollars here and there, or over the year, it still adds up.
And look, I've got people in the ratepayers group that say to me they've got $60 a week for food. You bump rates up $5 or $10 a week, that's one latte. It means nothing to me. But for a person that's on $60 worth of food, that's 15% of their food gone.
That's right.
Their food bill. And then people just keep juggling money there. So we just can't afford this. We've been really tough this year, and people moan about the grass being too long and all that sort of stuff. But hey, at the end of the day, if you want that stuff in, you've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
If you don't, then we've got to take it out. There is nothing in between that.
Yeah.
And the message I'm getting is keep the rates low.
Yeah.
Because they do compound.
Oh, totally.
So a good example of compound, and often people don't understand this, if you take 9% each year for 10 years,
Yeah.
it doesn't end up 90% more at the end. It ends up 130%,
Right.
because you're adding, each year you're adding to what you're then adding to.
Yep.
And so the benefit of, or disadvantage of that is, if that keeps compounding, my rates are currently 3,000 a year. 10 years from now, if we compound it up, it would be 7,000.
Wow. Yeah.
And that is an eye-watering amount.
That is. Yeah.
And I just think if I was on national super without any backup money, I'd be sweating it.
Yes.
I really would be.
Yeah. Because the other thing you got to remember is Invercargill City Council also then have to pay Environment Southland rates on top. So
Yep.
it's a double whammy.
Yep.
And they seem to have an endless budget or an endless.
Well, I mean, the regional rates, while their increases sometimes are high percentage-wise, in dollar terms, they're not all that high.
Yeah.
They're not all that high. There's probably one day's spending down at the moor for you.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Christmas edition of 90 Seconds Plus with Invercargill City Mayor. For myself and the What's On Invers team, it's a Merry Christmas. And
certainly from me, I want people to be safe over Christmas.
Yeah.
Don't spend too much, because things are really, really tight in the community at the moment.
Yeah.
And come back safe in the new year.
yeah. Probably just one last thing is do take care on the roads. We've already had 2 fatal crashes in the last week, one in Queenstown and one again up near Waihola. So if you're particularly that Waihola area seems to be a trap for crashes. So if you're heading that way, up or down, do take care there. Until next year, see you later.